knitters, it's Leslie here with YYC Knits. I just wanted to come on today and do a quick, instructional on how I work the thumbs on my latest pattern called Recombination, and it'll be up on Ravelry shortly. So I have just constructed them out of some lovely fisherman's wool, and I'm really happy with the way they've turned out. So I've got the first thumb here that I've started to work up, and I'm almost ready to do a knit two together around, and then cut my yarn and darn that up with a darning needle. So yeah, so basically what you want to do is you just want to put the mitten on and see, make sure that it's gonna cover your thumb, and once you're there, then you can do a knit two together around and cinch that up. So that's where we're at with this one. I am constructing the thumb inside out on these mittens, so the cable pattern, as you can see, is a little off looking because the mitt is actually inside out. So here's the inside of the mitten, and it's a beautiful cable running up the front 18 stitches, and then the thumb is constructed with a thumb gusset. The 10 stitches are placed on waste yarn and kept on hold until such a time that you're ready to construct the thumb or knit the thumb up. So we've just finished doing the decreases for the fingertips and completing those and working those. So the outside of the mitten is worked in a reverse stockinette. So this would be the inside, and that's how the decreases look. We've used a slip knit on the front side and a knit two together, and then on the back side of the mitt we used a purl two together and then a purl two together through the back loop to get that right and left leaning decrease around the fingertips, and it turned out really nice. I'm really happy with the way the decreases worked out. So it's a nice fitting mitt. It's a skinny fit mitt, so it's not too big. It fits the hand really nicely, and one of the biggest things that I've been trying to incorporate in my design for my last 3 or 4 pairs of mittens is to have the thumb placed in the proper position so that the mitt doesn't twist on the front of the hand, because so many mittens that I've knit twist, and then you get your beautiful cable running up the front kind of sideways, and it just really bothers me when that happens. So I've been trying to research and read a lot about thumb placement, thumb construction, and so the way these ones are done should not twist on your hand the way in the place that the thumb is placed. So as you can see, there's no gaps or holes, and the way the thumb is constructed is just quite nice. So yeah. So we are ready here to do our knit two together on this one and cinch that up with our darning needle. So we can definitely work on that. But what I want to show you is how this works when we're just beginning our thumb. So these 2 needles here are the needles, the 10 stitches that I had actually no, sorry. These 2 needles here are the 10 stitches that I had on hold for the thumb. And so I've just placed them back. I've pulled the waste yarn out and I've placed them back onto needles, 5 and 5. So that's nice and tidy and neat. And then what you do is you want to take your yarn and you want to take your yarn and you want to pick up and knit an additional 6 stitches along the top, or you could call it the crotch of the thumb. And so what you do there is, I'll just kind of go out, is you want to pick these stitches up in the V. And so what that means is, if you can see this stitch here, this V here, you want to just go in with your needle, you want to go around with your yarn and then pull through, and that's a pick up and knit. So I've done that just along all of the edge stitches. And then what I do after that is I continue on with my working yarn here, and I continue by knitting this first stitch that was on the waste yarn. Okay, and it does say on the pattern how many stitches to knit, but I'm just going to show you here how this works, because some people, like myself included, are just better visual learners than you know, reading it on a pattern, and that way I can show you how I construct them. So going from needle to needle, you just want to make sure that you keep this working yarn nice and tight so we don't get any laddering in between needles, and then once you knit your first couple stitches, then you're good. So we've come to our last stitch on this needle, and that, with this last one and the one on the following needle, what we want to do is, that's where the gap is between the stitches that were on the waste yarn and the stitches that we attached the working yarn to and started working. So this thread here, you want to pull this tight and make sure that's kept tight. But what I do here is I take these 2 stitches, so the one that was on the held stitches on the waste yarn, and the loosey-goosey one that we picked up and knit, and you want to just do a slip slip knit. So we're going to do a slip slip knit for those 2. Okay, and then what we're going to do is tighten this tail where we attach the working yarn, and we're going to continue knitting 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. Okay, and then again we've got this one here, the last one that we picked up and knit, with the first one on this side, and we're going to knit those 2 together. And what that does is that closes the gap between the held stitches and the stitches that you pick up and knit. Okay, so we're going to keep our yarn tight. I've got a lot going on here, a lot of needles here, but we're just going to concentrate on the 2 that we're working with, and we're going to knit around. So that is the way that I like to keep those stitches between the ones that were on the waste yarn and the ones that were picked up and knit tight together, and then you can go ahead and just work your thumb up on the stitches that you have here on the needle. And then basically you'll end up with your thumb at this point, okay, And you can see here, there's no gaps. This is where we've got our knit two together, and this is where our slip knit was down here. And so there's no gaps, no spaces, no holes in the mitten, and that is just a really nice, neat way to work that thumb up. So these are called recombination mittens, and they will be up on Ravelry with the pattern PDF posted shortly, and if I can figure out how to put a link, I will definitely do that as well. You can find me under YYC Knits on Ravelry and YYC Knits on Instagram, as well as Facebook and any social media as well. Happy knitting!